Hello and welcome to our Automotive Leaders Winning Cultures webcast. I'm Kelly Kleinman. Today we fly to the Midwest to see what the dealers are experiencing in a market that has unique circumstances all unto itself. Gas prices are up, but not as much as, let's say, LA. But prices are still high and inventory low. Our guest is Mr. Dan Kommeth, Director of Sales for the Kenwood Dealer Group. How you doing, Dan?
Doing excellent, Kelly. Can't complain.
It's been a while, but here we are again, fortunately.
Yep.
Always good to see you. Well, they often say hindsight is foresight that happens too late. No one could have seen the COVID pandemic coming. Ohio had some of the strictest rules and regulations in effect. How did you guys handle the pandemic from an operations and personnel standpoint, I should say, and how did it change how you guys do business?
Yeah, it was really at first it was tough because we didn't know, we were like everybody else. We didn't know what we didn't know, what was going to happen and things like that. And then the governor of Ohio really wasn't sure. So what we were supposed to do. So he said, service departments could remain open, but the showrooms, they were really non-committal about. But then they eventually said, well, you can be open if you want. You can figure it out. Well, we had made the decision to take all of our salespeople and sales managers and furlough them, actually. So while we applied for the PPP loans, but in that time, in that interim, we still had the general managers and we still had the director of finance and myself that were working. So we actually took the sales process and we digitized the whole thing. So we got all of our forms that we needed, signatures on, and at first we went to DocuSign, and then CDK, our DMS partner, they came up with a CDK Sign Anywhere. So we were able to digitize the entire process. So it was actually pretty cool because we were able to start with a clean sheet of paper and try to figure out, okay, what does this look like? What do we have to do? What do we not have to do? And we looked at it, instead of looking at it, I mean, this is, I'm going on almost my 29th year in the car business. We had always done things for the benefit of us, right? So for example, we sell a car and then we tell the customer, well, you've got to wait around the showroom until we can get you in the finance office. And, it didn't benefit the consumer. It just benefited us because we're like, well, we got to get you, we don't want you to come out of the ether, or whatever. We got to sign you up while so in rethinking that and spinning it back to look at okay, how can we sell cars? How can we stay viable as a business? I mean, we didn't know from like a lot of other industries, it's like, are we going to exist as a business? There were a lot of serious questions that we were asking ourselves. We're like, okay, how can we safely and legally sell cars to a consumer, and also can we improve the process? So we just started, we started with that clean sheet and really revamped it, and then we changed on the fly. It was like iterate. You just change. And now we've got a process that we branded Pick Up and Go, where the consumer they can do 0 to 100% of the transaction online. They never have to step foot in the showroom. But if they want to, they can have any part in that where they want to. It's based on what they want to do, not what we want to do. So if you want to come in for a test drive, you can come in for a test drive. If you want us to bring the car to your house, we'll bring the car to your house. If you want us to appraise your car at your driveway, we can do that. But if you want to, but the majority of consumers, I mean, it's less than 5% a month that want to do everything completely virtual, right? People, I think they like that personal interaction, or they like the ability to test drive the car, and so they say, no, I don't mind. You know what? Let me. I'll make an appointment to bring my car in, and you guys can appraise it while I test drive the other car. And they might do that, and then go home and negotiate from home, or they might come in the showroom, and a lot of them, they negotiate there. Well, now we have a process where if, now on the new car side, obviously we've got the constraints of supply, but let's say you're buying a pre-owned car, vehicle of interest is available. You set an appointment. We get your driver's license and insurance information ahead of time. So you're not waiting around at the dealership when you get here. You come in, the vehicle's ready for you. We verify who you are. When you come in, you go for a test drive on the car, you come back, if we have the price and the figures or everything worked out, we will actually give the customer the option, instead of waiting around the showroom, say, would you like to take the car home and do your paperwork virtually? And a lot of customers, they're just like, wait, what? Yeah, what do you mean? So, well, you can go home if they're financing it. We just have have them do the online credit app, which is once again digital. So we've got Route One as our partner there. So they fill out the credit app. We submit the deal to the bank, get the deal bought. We have them sign a buyer's order. We put a temp tag on the back of the car. We send them home, but we set an appointment. Okay, Kelly. Friday at 2:00. Be in front of your computer or whatever, and we're going to have the finance manager is going to contact you, and they'll go through the whole paperwork process. Obviously, see if they want any other products or anything there. But then they send them a link, and they sign everything. Click, 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 and then okay, you're done. Right. So it's not. So the idea of being able to do this, we should have disrupted ourselves many years ago, but it took something like a global pandemic for us to completely upend the business model and actually put it back in the hands of the customer. So now it's one of those things where it's like, okay, selling a few thousand vehicles a month as a group, we're changing the mentality and the expectation of the consumer here in the Cincinnati area, where they see that the buying process can be something different, than what they've experienced. They're, like I said, they're shocked the first time you tell them that they don't have to wait around, because they're used to Saturday afternoon, it's like, oh, great. Now we got to wait around. No, actually you don't. You can take off here. I just need a couple of things. They're overjoyed, right, with that experience. So the word of mouth will I think, keep multiplying, but I think it was a great thing for us to be able to do.
So essentially you created your own digital retailing solution on the fly.
Yeah. It was really, it was because we had to.
Yeah.
It's funny where that when you get backed into a corner, amazing what you can think of, and really just a lot of bright minds at our company where we're like, hey, what if we did this? Or hey, what if we tried this? And there were things that didn't work, but overall, what we have is a much better process now. And it's not like it's done, because there's new technology, there's new tools, there's new companies coming into the market that are going to make the process even better or smoother, or just a better experience for the consumer, and still a profitable one for us as a business.
Well, they say necessity is the mother of invention. So
yeah,
certainly you had necessity. What kind of jump have you seen in internet sales? You mentioned 5%. Most of them start online, but how many of them are you still at 5%? Just curious.
The people that just want to do, that never want to see us, that's what I was referring to, right?
Yeah.
That never want to step foot in a dealership. So, but the interesting part is, that breaking it down, the new and used, on the new side, you just get the inquiry from the consumer.
Yeah.
It's, hey, they'll see a vehicle on the website that's already spoken for, and then it's like, the conversation turns to, can I place an order? Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, so we take that. On the used side, customers are, they're inquiring, is the vehicle available, once again, on it? And then is it available for me to, to test drive or whatever? So it's remained fairly steady in terms of the number of people that are online. And you're right. The majority of people, they start online. The number of people that just wander into one of our dealerships where we have, no record of a phone call, email, chat, any of that, it's really, really rare. I think people they realize that they don't have to waste their time anymore. So they change their behavior.
At what point did you realize that the pandemic days were actually going to be paydemic in the form of increased profit margins and big jumps in overall revenue?
Gosh, I don't know if it was like one moment, Kelly. It was more like,
holy cow.
We worked our way out of it when we got when we got the PPP loans. So and we brought people back that were, the salespeople and the sales managers. As we brought them back, we realized where we're like, hey, we have to take care of the customer. We had people doing all sorts of different jobs. Before it was just, hey, one person, you're a commission salesperson. So we rethought pay plans, job responsibilities. Hey, act like a team. A lot of times where it's like we say, oh yeah, we're one big team, but we didn't behave that way. Well, all of a sudden we had salespeople where it's like, hey, you got an appointment on that used Tahoe. Let me go, but they've got a customer that's coming in. Let me go get that car gassed for you, right? Or hey, let me run this car back to detail so that it can get sanitized for somebody coming in. Hey, let me spray down the desks, for the next round of people. So we changed their pay where we said, hey, we're going to sell cars and, put the money in a pot, and then the general manager is able to divvy up how they want to distribute it. But most of the GMs came up with an idea where they're like, hey, we can give these guys some salary, and ladies, some salary. And then the bonuses based on how many cars you sell, how good the CSI is, all these other factors. So then what you had was a happier employee, right? Because we had, we're selling cars, we're making money, they're making money, giving the customer a good experience. It's like, just, figure out a way to take care of the customer and figure out a way, because the customer doesn't care how they get paid, quite honestly. They just want to know that they get taken care of, just give me a good experience. So it was really, as we worked our way through that, and then the, lack of, microchips and semiconductor chips, is that was kind of working its way through. We're like, holy cow. I mean, this is like phenomenally, profitable. So it wasn't like we did anything. We're, rising tide lifting all boats for sure. But the cool part is from a personnel standpoint, you have, when you have happy employees, there's very little turnover, right? So nobody's leaving. So you get inquiries from people who are like, hey, dude, you have any jobs? Well, no, because nobody's leaving, right? And part of the thing, let me back up a little bit too, is from our ownership perspective, they made a very, I think, great decision. Everybody who got furloughed, any of the employees, whether salespeople or otherwise, so we made their benefit payments. So they weren't getting a paycheck or whatever, but their health insurance, vision, dental, they got kids with braces, all that stuff. They didn't have to come out of pocket for those months while we were waiting for the PPP loans. So we got them sitting at home, and our president was like, we kept their email addresses going. He's emailing them updates and things like that. So they were still part of the team even though they weren't in the building and getting paid. Right. So then when we brought them back, I think we had, those, the employees were just understanding, because not everybody did that. Right. And I know of instances where they specifically did not do that. They laid people off and didn't make there were no benefit payments or anything like that. And the people were on their own. Well, that was great in terms of employee morale at our company. So then nobody wants to leave. They're like, why, they can't get lured away. Or a technician, hey, we got 50 cents more an hour over here. Yeah, that's all right. But my company, they took care of me. When the times were tough, they took care of me. They weren't just treating me like another body. So I think that's pretty cool too, from a culture standpoint, where they want to stick around and be part of the team instead of being the gun for hire that goes for the just a couple extra bucks.
Sure. And turnover is such a big issue with so many dealerships. A lot of them that we've spoken to actually decreased their payroll. They used less employees, and a lot of them were finding that they were getting a lot more done, that they didn't need so many employees. What kind of training and coaching do you guys do over there? And obviously it's a happy workplace, which is crucial. So there must be some other component.
Yeah. So we really, and then that was another thing that we realized in terms of really building up the bench strength, of the group, because we want, the reality is that people leave jobs for a number of reasons, but one of them is when they don't see a career path. And so what we started doing, we have some outside training. We have like leadership development. So we have a company that comes in and is working with all of the executives, the general managers, the sales managers, the salespeople, the fixed op managers, really, cascading all the way down just from a leadership. So it's not the hard skills, it's the soft skills. Like how do you lead your team, right? And working through these, and then how do we, it's a monthly thing where it's not something that's one and done. So they come back every single month and we do that training. Same with, let's say we brought in from an F&I perspective. So the F&I managers adapting to the new world where half of the customers are never coming into the F&I office. They're wanting to do the paperwork at home. Well, that's a different skill set. The F&I managers traditionally they're face to face, right? And so trying to sell you the benefits of an extended warranty over a Zoom call like this is a different skill set. So we bring in a company that every month they come in and they work with the finance managers, and we saw that they got more comfortable with it the more they did it, but they also increased, they were able to increase their product sales, and the objection of, oh man, I can't sell stuff over Zoom call, that kind of goes away. Then also we're building another online platform with the help of a vendor. And so what it is it's a kind of a career learning path. So if we hire you, we onboard you, we've got the things that are kind of company wide as far as culture and things you need to know, right? But then if you at any time, like there's you want to, I'm thinking I want to be a service advisor. I'm thinking I want to be a finance manager. I think I want to be a sales manager. I think I want to be a general manager. Well, we're in the process of kind of mapping that out. Well, what does that look like? If somebody wants to do that, what do they have to do? What's required of them to do? And then what does it require of us? So really mapping out those futures for people so they can get a clear understanding of what it will take. And then we'll kind of fill in the knowledge, utilizing our own resources, but then the outside too, because you have, tremendous resources, whether it's NADA or NCM or other people like that, where we can get you the training, right? That you need in order to advance in your career.
Well, with inventory issues pretty much commonplace everywhere, how have you guys been handling that? Is it pretty much standard operations where you're actually advertising for inventory?
Yeah, I mean, it's once again breaking it up into the new and used, and really with the number of stores that we have, the manufacturers handle it differently. So we've got to kind of tailor the message at each manufacturer so that the salespeople can give the customer accurate information, right? If the order banks are closed for a Mustang, we have to be able to, but they're open for something else. We have to be able to communicate that to them.
Well, what I was actually referring to was you getting used inventory, because it's a little tougher. You're allocated only so much new inventory. So what's it been like challenge wise to get used inventory for you?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. So we used to buy a lot of cars at the auction. Well, when the rental car companies got shut out and they started, buying up everything, the prices were just ridiculous. So we had to kind of double down on our different acquisition strategies. So number of different ways. The first one, the biggest one is obviously your the trade-ins that are being presented to you. So cars for appraisal. So we looked at that where we had a way to get our used car managers some backups, or our vehicle buyers who are buying cars at the auction. Well, they can help appraise cars virtually, but they don't have to be in the store. So what we do is using vAuto, one of our partners there, we can actually do a headquarters appraisal. So they'll tell us, the used car manager will send an appraisal over what they think it's, what the car's worth. Well, we want to make sure that, we're not missing a trade, because, if there's a Ford F-250 that's being presented for trade at one of our Buick GMC truck stores, well, they might not know, that you can build a pickup truck a million different ways. They might not know, where it's like, oh, that Ford truck, that thing is super hot. It looks like it's worth, 70 grand, but it's actually worth 77. Well, the buyers know that, just from dealing with all the stores. So not missing on trades is the first one. So we looked at our look to book to kind of pump that up, right, and get more cars that way. the other is, different strategies, but one is a KBB buying center, getting those leads from the consumers. Now, obviously, Kelley Blue Book has a tremendous presence, and you have to be super aggressive on going after those cars. But to get them, but if they're nice cars, it's still cheaper than what you'd pay at the auction block. So that was another strategy. And then really mining our own data, right? So there's a number of vendors out there that have, just to get into your own customer base and really dig through who would be a prospect. And that's it's kind of like panning for gold. You're going to sift through a lot there, and you really have to find the right person or persons in a store who are willing to get a lot of no's. Because if you ask somebody, so instead of saying, "Hey, can I trade you in another car?" We don't have another car to trade them into, right? Yeah. So it's a question of, can I buy your car? And it's occasionally you get somebody who's like, "Well, yeah, it is an extra car hanging around. Yeah, let's figure that out." But a lot of no, not interested. So it's really not one overarching thing. It's just, how can we get little pockets here and there to try to get the inventory, and then really in terms of being more efficient with it and trying to just be mindful of the turn. Once again, getting back to vAuto, where it's like, we realized, okay, you don't need to have 100 cars in stock in order to, sell 80 of them, right? You can have 60 in stock and sell 80 of them by increasing your turn. So adapting the strategies and working with the used car managers just to see where it's like, okay, just, we acquire a car, let's get it in somebody's driveway as quickly as possible. Let's determine what the market is on that car. Is it a hot market or is it a slow market? If it's a slow market on that car, like right now, if you've got with gas prices being what they are, we acquire something that's a big gas guzzler or whatever, and we look at the market day supply on that car and it's higher, well, we're going to price that sucker to move, right? It's like, because I want to get rid of that, and I want to hopefully acquire something that is more desirable in the marketplace, right? And so that just focusing on that, where you realize we can make the same money, if not more, selling fewer cars just by through that turn.
Well, here's the Nostradamus section of our podcast, where we ask you to break out your crystal ball and make your future prediction, prognostication, whatever you want to call it. But it appears as though the EV initiative is in full swing, yet so few can afford EVs. Our two biggest enemies, if you want to call them enemies, are mining all of the raw material. 90% of it comes from Russia and China. 83% from China, 7% from Russia. But the current administration wants to stop all fossil fuel usage and get vehicles off the road. The question is going to be, what will the car dealership look like in 5 years? Is it going to look like the current model? Is it going to be more like Cuba, where your recon department is your busiest, and we're selling used cars that are at 200,000 miles because there just isn't as much of a demand? Is there going to be an EV in every driveway, although it costs a lot of money to get those charged? What are your views?
I'm a free market capitalist, so I really think that instead of the government putting their thumb on the scale and trying to get the results that they want, I'd rather have consumers have the choice to buy what they want to buy, right? And so let the marketplace dictate that, instead of saying, well, everybody needs to buy an EV and because this is the way we're going. It just locks people. I don't like taking away choice from consumers. When they have greater choice, the marketplace is more robust, right? If electric vehicles have to compete in a marketplace with internal combustion engine vehicles and gas electric hybrids, and how about hydrogen, right?
Hydrogen, absolutely 100%.
So in 5 years, I'd like to see. This is not a prediction. What I'd like to see is an arena, and quite frankly, whatever administration is in office, I don't care. But where they say this is going to be a level playing field, we're going to let everybody fight on the merits of their product and the benefits of it, but we're not going to force people to go down to go down this one path, right? So electric vehicles are great. I've driven them. We have franchises. We have lots of electric vehicles and more coming every day.
Sure.
that they're wonderful to drive. But telling a consumer that they can't buy something is just really, I just don't like that. I mean, there's so many applications for so many different things. If you own we have 3 Ford stores, and we have some rural customers, right, that have a farm, and they have 6 or 7 heavy duty Ford pickup trucks that work on their farm. And you're telling them that, oh, now your next one's got to be an F-150 Lightning. Well, maybe that doesn't work for him. Maybe the F-250 Super Duty is his truck of choice. It's worked for him. He's bought 100 of them, and from us and things like that. I just want the customers to buy the cars that fit their lifestyle best. If it's an electric car, if you have one electric car and you have one internal combustion, or you have a gas electric hybrid, doesn't matter to me, in terms of what it is. But let's not fool ourselves into thinking that the government knows better than the marketplace does, because what you see is that customers still are raising their hand for internal combustion engine vehicles. So, I mean, why would we take that option away from people? And by the way, those vehicles are cleaner from an emission standpoint than anything we've had in a long time. And then the argument is like, oh, well, the electric is cleaner. It's like, well, if you follow the supply chain all the way back, it's not necessarily the case, right? So
close.
I mean, it's so I really like, we have Toyota is one of our partners, and I think Toyota has a really good approach to it, right? They have gas electric hybrid, they have full electric now, and oh, by the way, they're working on hydrogen, right? So Akio Toyota, who's head of the company or whatever, thinking like that, like, hey, let's not put Toyota in a box. Let's have Toyota have options for all consumers out there, right? So that to me is the type of thinking that I'd like to see 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line.
I agree 100%. Shoehorning the consumer into one option never works. The government never works. It's free market. I'm a free market guy myself. We always make the best decisions. Dan Kommeth, Director of Sales, Kenwood Dealer Group, it's been a pleasure. I wish you continued success moving forward. And thanks for jumping on.
Thanks, Kelly. Good to talk to you again. Have a great day.
A pleasure. Have a great summer. Well, I'm Kelly Kleinman for the Automotive Leaders Winning Culture webcast. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. And you too, have a great summer. We'll see you soon.